Miranda from Miranda Has Plans. I am the illustrator and designer for my own stationery company, and I wanted to share with you today a recent scam that I went through. I wanted to make this for artists so that way you understand that sometimes these scammers make everything look so legit and so much work for a scam that you have a tendency to believe it. Unfortunately for this scammer, I'm somebody who has anxiety and complex PTSD. I don't trust people right out of the gate. If you're not in my circle, I don't normally trust you. I figure you're probably going to scam me. However, I'm also aware that these issues that I have give me coping skills that have served me well in my life, but also stand in the way of me experiencing some of the better things in life. So I try to meet them halfway, and thankfully I have a husband who helps me see, slow your roll, things might not be this bad. So this started on January 9th. I was contacted by a lady in South Carolina asking me if I would be interested in an art commission. And the art commission would be for 8 different pieces, and these pieces would be for a talk that someone was giving. End of details. The first thing out of the gate she told me was that she was hard of hearing, which became a red flag for me because, okay, maybe she is hard of hearing and maybe I'm just being paranoid, but that seemed like an odd thing to lead with. But again, I'm a super private person. I don't share a whole lot of my personal details, so I was willing to say maybe that's on me. Aside from admitting to me that she had a hearing issue while she was contacting me through email, the first red flag that popped up was that her email was a truncated version of her first name and last name. Now, that became a red flag for me, but I'm also aware that might not be a red flag for everybody because, like my one son's email is T-Rex crazy or something weird like that. Like, people have weird things. It seemed odd to me that someone who's supposed to be a professional would have a truncated email. And it was a Gmail account, so it wasn't like attached to a company. So my first response to her was, thank you for reaching out to me. I'm curious how you found me, and I am also curious if you understand my art style, and I directed her to my website. Now, the reason that became something that made me curious is because, if you're a new viewer here, you don't realize that my art style is very cartoonish and whimsical. Not normally something that people commission out of the blue without having seen anything. So that made me wonder. So while I was waiting for her to give me that answer, where did she find me? I started to do my own research because I want to know who I'm dealing with. So I instantly Google her name. Her name wasn't anywhere. I couldn't find her on Facebook. I couldn't find her on Instagram. I couldn't find her just Googling her name and where she lived because she told me she was from South Carolina. The only name that popped up was an older lady who had passed away, her obituary. So that set my red flags off. So then she responded to my email and told me, hi, I was doing some research on you and I found you on LinkedIn. Now that set off a red flag for me because I spend absolutely no time on LinkedIn. None. Like, I had forgotten I even had a LinkedIn account. I don't even know when I made this LinkedIn account. So I thought, that's odd. How could she find me on LinkedIn? I'm not in the same state as her. All right. I think people would be more likely to find me through YouTube or Instagram because that's where I spend most of my time. And that's where I post the most often. LinkedIn? Okay. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. However, another red flag for me is, as you can tell by my viewer count or by my subscriber number, I'm small potatoes. Like, there are way more artists out there who could do this job that she would find way more easily than me. So that became a red flag. So I said, okay, I told my husband, because I have a tendency to not trust people. So he's like, look, you're not losing anything giving information as long as you keep it professional. Don't share any private information, which I wouldn't anyway. See where it goes, because what if this is a legitimate thing and you're poo-pooing it and now you lost an opportunity that could really do something for your career? So I said, okay. So I wanted to send her a list of questions. I said, I need these questions answered before we move any further. One of those was, who do you work for? Because all I have is her name. And where are you located? Because at that point, I didn't even know if she was in the United States. I didn't know if she was, from another country. I didn't even know, was English her first language? I don't know. So I got the response from that, and all I got was her name and what she does for a living, which she said she was an academic consultant. I didn't know what an academic consultant was, so I looked it up. An academic consultant is someone who helps you enroll in college. What is an academic consultant doing contacting me, wanting me to do art commissions? So I found that strange. And I also asked her where she was located. And the first address she gave me, she gave it to me without a street address on it, just the street name, the city, and a zip code. Well, I looked up the street name, the city, and the zip code, and it led me to an industrial park. I did the Google view so I could see the entire street, an industrial park. The biggest industry on that road was a produce company. So I thought, okay, there's like a produce company, a pool cleaning company, I don't even remember what else. I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is her place of work. So I told her I was going to draw up a contract, because that's what artists need to do to cover themselves and to keep themselves legal and hold these people accountable. So I said, I'm going to draw up a contract. I'm going to need an actual address from you. So the actual address that she sends me is to a hearing aid place, about 9 minutes away from the industrial park address that she gave me to begin with. And I was pretty sure by this point I was being scammed. So I send her the contract. I put the address on there. She wants my address. I don't give out my home address. I have a business address. It is a P.O. box. Don't ever hand out your home address. So I give her the P.O. box. I send her the contract, and I'm like, okay, this is where they're going to cut the scam. Nope. She didn't. She signed the contract. And in the contract, it says you need to give me a 50% non-refundable deposit to start work. And she agreed to that. Now that sounds crazy, but that is industry standard for artists who are accepting commissions. 50% non-refundable right up front before you start any work. No work at all until then. So I thought, okay, this is where it's going to end. Nope. She sent me a signed contract. Okay. Next thing I know, I get tracking information for the check she's sending me, a cashier's check. Okay. I wait a week. The check arrives. I open the check, and the check is for the entire amount. That's another red flag, folks. It's not a mistake. It's a red flag. I open the cashier's check, and it's made out for the entire amount. There's a name in the memo section, which I am assuming is the client she was working for. And it's made out from an actual bank, Capital One. So I got a little bit excited. I'm like, okay, maybe this is my paranoia running away with me. And my husband's getting excited, and I said, wait, because we haven't even talked to the bank yet. There could still be a snafu, because you can count on me to be the negative Nelly in the room. If you need some negativity in your life, I'm your girl. So we go to the bank, and I go to the teller window, and the teller's like, okay, now this is for $9,600. Okay, a lot. Now, I'm going to take one break from you here to let you know, I used to work at a bank. There are certain thresholds that you stay under that don't have to have paperwork attached to them. This check fell just shy of that threshold. That made me think, there's something hinky going on still. So I went to the teller window, and the teller goes, okay, were you expecting this? Yes. Was this an expected amount for something? And I explained to her, I'm an artist, this is for a commission. And she says, okay. And I said, however, I didn't expect this amount. I expected half this amount. And she goes, but you were expecting it. And I said, yes. I said, however, I need to make sure a cashier's check is the same as cash. And she said, maybe. And I said, okay, maybe isn't good enough because I am worried this is a scam. She said, okay. She stopped everything. She took the check from me, which I'm fine with. She sent a copy over to their fraud department, and she sent me across the room to the customer service desk. I explained to the lady at the customer service desk what was going on. In the middle of my conversation, the phone rings, and it's the fraud department. It's a fraudulent check. And it was just that fast. They didn't have to look into it, nothing. So she put me on the phone with the fraud department, and the fraud department said, this does not look like any Capital One check we have ever received. This is absolutely 100% a fraudulent check. My advice to you is, please give us any and all communications you have had with this person. Give us a copy of everything that you have, and I advise you to go file a police report to protect yourself. Okay, no problem. So while we were going through this conversation, my husband texts her, which I did not give out my phone number. I gave my husband's work phone number. He texts her and says, oh yeah, we got the check, because she texted wanting to know, did you receive the check? And he texted back, oh yeah, we got the check, we're depositing it now. And her response was, kindly send me a screenshot of your deposit slip. Now, if I had deposited this check and didn't say anything about wondering if it was a scam, I would have known right then and there that it was for sure a scam. Here's why. I used to work at a bank. Your deposit slip has a lot of information on it that they don't need. Number one, information, depending on which one you give them. Are you going to give them the one that you filled out for the bank? That's got your actual legal signature on it. It's got your account number on it. And once you get the receipt, it's got your balance on it. That's a lot of information. Plus, it's got your bank information on it. Cashier's check does not let them know your banking institute. All of those things are ways that they can get into your bank account. They can know things about you, and they can forge things because they have your actual signature. When I sign a contract, I have a signature I use only for contracts. That signature won't get them a credit card. It won't get them a bank account. It won't get them into anything that I own because it's not my actual signature. It is a signature I use solely for contracts. I would have known with that text that it was absolutely fraud because there is no earthly reason they need that information. And when I spoke to the lady in the customer service, she said, this is what happens. They'll mail you a check under this guise of 50%, and they mail you 100% of what they owe you. Then they come back to you and go, oh my gosh, that was a mistake. You need to mail me, or you need to send me a bank transfer for that other amount so we can give it back to you later when the work is done. What does that do? That causes you to be, in my case, $4,800 into this person. They get real money from you. It takes time for that check to clear, and it comes back fraudulent, and you're out $4,800 because the bank's going to want that back. So, all of this big convoluted story to tell you, I got an incredibly detailed email about exactly what she expected from me for this work. What every single picture she wanted illustrated had details. I wanted to have this, and I wanted to say this. I wanted to have this, and I wanted to say this. All the way through. This is a whole lot of work to make it look absolutely legitimate. So in order for you to cover yourself and keep yourself safe and protected, first you need to keep in mind that if it seems too good, it likely is. Make sure you cover your bases. I want you to make sure you've got a contract. I want you to keep track of every piece of communication that you have with these people. Print it out. And the reason I say print it out, don't just save it in your email. Because when I tried to save myself a little bit of steps instead of having to go all the way back home, make copies of everything that I have, because I print everything out no matter what. So I didn't have to go back and make copies. I was just going to forward all of the emails that this lady had sent me to the bank's email. But here's the thing. The minute I did that, number one, if the bank tried to open it, everything just disappeared. That included erasing the email from my email. So I didn't have access to that. But they didn't do a good enough job because I printed everything out. So there was no wondering where it went. Oh my gosh, I have no proof. Wrong. I have proof. Document, document, document. Make sure you have copies of everything, including text messages. Screenshot everything, print everything. Leave no stone unturned. And at the very, very least, ask for help from your bank. If you think from even 1 second this might be a scam, open your mouth. Tell them. The bank has a vested interest in, one, protecting their assets, which is any deposit that goes into that bank, and two, protecting your assets because you're a customer, and without you, they have no business. Please be careful out there and trust your gut all the way through. Document, 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 and take care of yourselves. It's hard out there. And we, as artists, we got a lot of work that we need to do, and we're in a position for people to prey on us. Be careful. You're dealing with people on the internet. We live in an age of instant access to information. Please take care of yourself. Please document everything. Please ask for help. Reach out to the people who have your best interests at heart. Because I promise you, any client you have does not have your best interests at heart. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.